Step Change is a strategically led marketing agency here to build a better world through business. They are facilitators and problem solvers who believe that the best solutions in business start with marketing. Step Change always starts by protecting the core part of the business before developing on top of that. And to do this, they use tools from a variety of different areas. The people that we have here today is, might get you to come out and put your hand up so that we can see you. Is first of all, we have Ashton Bishop. Big round of applause for Ashton, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I've got to read this right. Ashton is Australia's predatory thinker. That's what I thought. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Sounds a bit dodgy, but doubtless it'll be explained. An expert in pinpointing how businesses can grow by outsmarting their competitors. He runs million-dollar marketing campaigns for billion-dollar brands. He's created Australia's first mobile app. That's something to have on your resume, isn't it? Received film awards, and has guest lectured at leading universities. Please welcome Ashton Bishop. We also have with us, who was here with us last year, Glenn Bartlett. Glenn is the head of strategy at Step Change. He brings a unique perspective to the Step Change team with blue chip experience as a strategist and as a business leader. He knows firsthand that it's clarity in strategic thinking and simplicity and creative execution that drives business results. Please welcome Glenn. And if you could keep the love coming for Lisa Matthews. Lisa Matthews, no relation to me. We worked that out this morning. Lisa Matthews with one T, the economic version. I'm the, flamboyant version. Got to have two T's. Lisa, head of deployment for Step Change, has worked on all three sides of the marketing fence as a strategist and a creative at branding and design agencies, and as a client in the world of fast-moving consumer goods and franchise marketing. Lisa is a champion for brand effectiveness and knows that clever, human-centric design has the power to change perceptions. Please welcome Lisa Matthews. And please also welcome Claire Rainbow. Big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Claire is the deployment manager at Step Change, and she has spent 12 years in the glamorous world of theatre, events and TV, producing and project managing. Before joining Step Change as a creative producer, she juggled roles as GM and creative producer for entertainment management, marketing manager of a startup clothing retail and event manager for Marrickville Council. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Step Change team.
That intro was so long, that's all we've got time for. Thank you and good night. I've never seen so many people before 8 o'clock in the morning. They say the sun might rise in the east, but certainly business rises in the hills, doesn't it? Ooh. So, welcome to Stump the Strategist. This is Stump the Strategist. Who's seen Stump the Strategist before? Show of hands, great. Who's a virgin? Yeah. Who's its first time to Stump the Strategist?
Every time.
Predatory thinker. Terrible. All right, so good morning. The things that we need for Stump the Strategist, we have a panel here and accounted for. We need some questions. We're going to take any question on marketing, your chewiest, crunchiest marketing challenge. The more specific the question, the more specific and useful the answers. If you ask a generic question, we can give you a generic lecture-style answer that may be less interesting than a real-life business challenge. So the way we're going to get a great question is we're just going to have a little practice. So everyone find a partner, like just sitting next to you. So sort of just find a partner. Pick an A and a B. A's hands up nice and clearly. Yep. Point to B, say you're doing it. Should have been quicker. If you want to rub it in, you can say it's funny how life goes. Isn't it? It's sort of funny how life goes. All right, so B's, what's going to happen is you're going to practice your question with A, and they're going to coach you on whether it's any good. So the question's going to be a marketing challenge. So if it's got marketing or marketing related, that's good. If it's specific, then that's good too. And if they can't get the question out in 30 seconds or so, they've probably failed. So B, practice your question with A, 30 seconds, go. In 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, and time. Please thank your partner with a high five. Love your work. Okay. So it's time for Stump the Strategist. It's a little bit like, whose line is it anyway? Thank God you're here. Maybe a little bit of Mr. Squiggle worked in as well. So that's what we're going to do. We've got a clock here, and the clock will have 9 minutes on it. And on our 9-minute clock, at the end, we will have an answer for your question, a strategic framework, and then as a group, you guys will get to decide whether we are stumped or whether you are passed. Because you get the final say, we do just have one rule, is once we've clarified the question and make sure we understand it, we don't allow any of the hand grenades to come in to go, woo, but we try that, but so this is a opinion rather than advice. So you get in the 9 minutes. We just request once we've clarified the question, we get a full 9 minutes. You do get the last say. That's the only rule. I don't know why I bother explaining it, Glenn. People don't follow it.
They really don't.
It might be different this time. These guys sound
Probably
different.
not.
So Glenn, why don't you find us a question?
So hands up, who's got a question? Right down here.
Oh, great.
Okay, so what's your name, sir?
My name's John.
John? Yep.
I'm a company called Pendragon.
Pendragon. Okay, John. What's your question?
My question is, I have an app.
Yeah.
It's a global app to let people know in 30 seconds if they can or cannot get a visa, and then it also tells them if they can't get a visa, what they've got to do.
Visa for Australia.
Visa for Australia, and I want to know, and I want to charge for it, and I want to know how you make $1 million out of it.
They make $1 million out of an app.
It's going to go global.
It's going to go global.
Yeah, so we've got plenty of people to talk to. It's valued at $2.99, so there's your price. And it can be downloaded by anybody, obviously. But, and it's got a load of whistles and bells around it as well. But the guts of it is the actual says if you fill out what you have got as a skill, 30 seconds later, it will tell you as you're doing it whether you can or cannot come to Australia.
So it's just for people inbound to
It's
Australia?
inbound. Some people in here can do it as well, but yeah, it's only inbound, yes.
And do you have a marketing budget to put?
That's always a good question, isn't it, really? Because that's about the best question that you always get. No, I don't have a problem with budget because what I want to do is I want to be told what people think they can do and how much it's going to cost, and then I can say, shit, I didn't think it was going to cost that much, so I can't afford it. I can't say it's. Let's say if you want me to put a marketing budget on it, let's put 20 grand on it for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So Harry's boy, race 8, 20 grand. Okay, we ready?
Yep, go.
Okay, well, I'll kick us off. So with your app, my recommendation initially would be to use an inch wide, mile deep look at your audience. So what is the smallest audience that you can talk to that's going to have the greatest impact? So with a very small budget, what we need to do is define that tightest audience there, and then we can start to have a really focused marketing campaign and build some targeted strategies to get the biggest impact out of that smallest audience.
Okay, so talking about targeted, what you really need to think about is what is the emotional engagement you're going to have with your audience. So I'm new to Australia. I've been here a couple of months now, so I've just been through the whole visa application thing. And I know it's kind of tricky. It's like a black hole. You make your application, you don't know whether it's going to be successful or not. What's going to separate you from all the rest is understanding what is your purpose. Are you there to provide a visa, or are you there to provide dreams? Are you there to connect people? Are you giving them a new hope and a new future? If you can engage emotionally, that's going to set you apart from all the rest, or the legal firms or the other apps out there that are promising the same thing, we just do admin for you. So get that emotional connection, be very clear on who you are, what you stand for, and what you bring to that audience. Yeah?
For me, I'm just starting from the business model. So very roughly, back a fag packet, you need to sell about 350,000 at this to make $1 million. So that's where I start, and then I go, who's got your customers? So where are those customers coming in from? And actually, is there a different way of getting that? Because it's difficult to find 350,000 customers to pay that amount of money. Could we get 100 customers to pay us $3,000? And who would those 100 customers be? Might they be the migration agencies that are located around the world that don't actually understand the Australian context? And for $3,000, we can give you this tool, which potentially you can white label for your business, which will enable you to siphon down and get down to who's actually a customer that you want to use and who's not. So that's the first point, is are we speaking about the right customer? And for me, it might be the intermediary, that's the customer. Second interesting point for me is, where's the real money made? Because if you get people in there and they're actually, their application is potentially possible, can we actually take them through the whole application from there? And it's the links and it's the Trojan horse, if you like, to the other companies. So you can actually then charge for that lead. So that's potentially where the revenue is, charging for the lead to those agencies as well. So a couple of different thoughts around business model. So I'd go back and start with audience and go, where can we add the most value? And I think it might be those migration agencies potentially. Ash.
Yeah, so I think that the interesting thing is, you say you want to make $1 million out of an app. The thing that most people ignore when they do an app is they go, oh, we're going to be like Angry Birds. Highly, highly improbable. So I think if you look at the App Store, there's now over 1 billion apps out there. You've got to decide which platform, first of all, whether you're going to go Android or Apple Store. But if you look at the universe, there's 1 billion apps. The expected income of an app's what? $9,000. You develop an app, the average net expected income is $9,000. So before you go and spend your 20, really interesting to have a look at the business models around those things. So we start that as the base rate. That's accepted assuming that we've got an average performing app. If you've got something special that performs above it, better, if not worse. I think really Glenn touched on the real game here, is that looking at $2.99 and expecting people to come in at $2.99, potentially a really high risk strategy. Modelling how the app fits into the journey, much more interesting. Looking at guidebooks, Lonely Planet, where people actually plan their journeys before they even get to the migration agencies. You want to get as far upstream as possible. The access for you with a small budget is partnerships. Yeah? Just follow that thing, that business train thing that Glenn said. Think of the people right at the front end, the travel guides, and then think of the people who really make the money at the back end, the lawyers. Connect those people with partnerships, and that's how you win.
I think you have to make it pretty personal as well. An app and a phone is handy, but actually, I think this is a people business. So how do we make it real? How do we make sure that there's 24-hour chat, that I can talk to somebody, that I can get advice? It needs to be a really personal thing. So one of the things I want to talk about also is about the message. We want to be clear what you stand for, what you can bring, what are the positives, why I would want to deal with you, why you stand out from all the others. You've got to think in a predatory way. What's going to give me something that the other visa providers don't have? Think about the result. What do you want consumers or customers to understand about you? What do you want them to feel? Start with the experience. So there's a model called RAM, which is thinking about the results you want, then the target audience, then the message, then the medium. What's the result? How do you want them to engage? Who is that target audience? As Claire mentioned earlier, it's about really that inch wide, mile deep, understand exactly who you're targeting. What's the message that you want them to take away? And then what's the medium? So besides the app itself, how will you touch those people's lives? How will they even know that you exist? Partnerships and joint ventures, very obvious one for me. If I'm doing a lot of research on a visa, I'm going to be looking all over the internet, Googling, looking at forums, that sort of thing. Get your app on there, get a trademark, a really catchy name, obviously, and get some trust marks as well. So if I go onto a forum for expats, I can see that you guys are trusted, great reviews, Google search, you're coming up high on the page. Think about SEO as well. How are you going to make sure that you land up top of the page? First click, download the app, and bang.
Yeah, absolutely. Testimonials and ratings would be a big thing for me, particularly in the digital space. How can you drive your audience to start leaving ratings for you? And are there any great stories that you can tell? Is there anybody where you've solved that problem, you've hit the 30 seconds for them, you've managed to give them a recommendation on their type of visa and actually solve their problem, and then get them talking about it. See if you can get a video testimonial from them and get that put onto forums, get that put onto your app thing, so that people can actually log on and get that third-party endorsement and hear the great case study.
So, John, I'm still back in the business model. So marketing comes after we've got the business strategy and the business model right. And we can talk about that and your value prop and how to construct the ideal customer journey all day long. But if the business model is not right, it's kind of not where we want to be spending our time. The more I think about it, the more I think this potentially should be free to use for the potential migrant and be offered as a service to those migration companies. And so you go to something like what we call a hidden cost calculator. What's the cost to a migrant company to basically screen someone to see if they're a potential migrant? It might be half an hour. They've got to come and meet them. You could send them this app. You could know within 30 seconds whether they're a customer or not and charge them $50 each time they use it, for example. So very different business model and therefore a very different marketing strategy if we wanted to go down that route. Ash?
Yep. So just to wrap that all up, the first thing is when we think in terms of steps, you've got to get this as risky. A high risk play, don't play the same game. As Glenn said, going out charging $2.99 and expecting a result to make millions, probably not the right approach. Get that it's risky and then be smarter. Start with a business model and map the business model to the journey. Follow the dollars. Who's got the money on the journey? The lawyers are struggling and competing at that end. The guidebooks are out there for attention. So the guidebooks win SEO, all the travel sites. Integrating with travel partners, guidebooks, migration agencies. They're the partners that you go to. The offer for them is then the message, as Lisa was talking about, the experience and the message that comes through. Talking about, your new life starts in 30 seconds. Go there, try it, see if you want to stay. Partnerships and clip of the ticket are the only way you're really going to make a heap of money. And then the real trick here is amplification of member get member. Make sure if someone does get on the app, who else would they like to bring out with them? So that's the invitation to start a new life 30 seconds past 1. All right, so we said you guys get the last say, so everybody up. So we're going to decide whether that was from the head or from the other place. So you're just going to vote by either from the top or from the bottom. And in 3, 2, 1, stumped or passed. That was passed. Thank you very much. Any question, John?